بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today, inshallah, we're going to discuss one of the main events that took place on the 6th year of Hijrah. As some scholars say, others say it took place in the beginning of the 5th year of Hijrah. And this is the event or the incident of Ifk. And Ifk means
something wrong, something happened.
Gossip, rumor. It means lie. It's a lie. Affakun athim, a liar and sinful. So Ifk is the lie that was told and people talked about and gossiped about. The origin of this incident, again, was the hypocrites. And if you look around, it's either the Jews or the hypocrites who would do and dwell such events. It started when the Prophet ﷺ and his companions were coming back from the Ghazwat Bani al-Mustalaq or al-Muraysi'. And on their way back, Aisha tells us, may Allah be pleased with her, that she lost a necklace when they were camping. So she went looking for that necklace. And that was about a day or less before reaching Medina. So we're told that she left and searched for her necklace, not knowing that it was time to leave. So the people responsible for her camel and what is known as hawdaj, and it's the carriage that a woman sits in, and it's being carried on the shoulders of men and then put on the camel. The women, the men responsible for her camel, not knowing that she was not there, they lifted the hawdaj and put it on the camel and left, because she was light in weight, she tells us. And when she came back, she found that the people had already left, and she didn't know what to do. So she sat down in her place, thinking that when someone would miss her, they would go back again to where they camped. And this is very important for people who go camping. Whenever someone, and especially children, they are to be taught that whenever you are with a company and you lose track of them, do not go and wander looking for them. Stay where you are. They will eventually come and look for you. Because if you wander around, most likely that you will be away from the center of the location and people will not be able to find you. She sat down in her place and went to sleep. Now, every army had a man or more looking and investigating what the camp place, and if they've lost something, if they've dropped something, if someone was lost. And in came Safwan ibn al-Mu'attal as-Sulami, may Allah be pleased with him. He was the one responsible for such things in that particular battle. When he came close to Aisha, she tells us, I was asleep, and I woke up when I heard him say, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We all belong to Allah, and we are all going to Allah the Almighty. And this sentence is said when
something happened,
something of a calamity,
yeah,
of a catastrophe. So when he saw the wife of the Prophet ﷺ on her own, on that place, he said this word. She woke up when she heard this, and she tells us that he recognized me because he had seen me previously before hijab was made obligatory upon us, which indicates that covering the face is obligatory. And by the way, this is reported in Bukhari and Muslim, so it bears the highest degree of authenticity in Islam. She tells us that he was so polite, he did not even say one word. He got his camel to sit down, and I mounted over the camel, and he walked with the camel until we reached Medina, but already the people had arrived in Medina. So when they saw us coming in, the hypocrites started to talk. Definitely they had something going on between them, and they started slandering Mother Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her. She was unaware of that. She tells us that the minute I went into Medina, I felt sick. And for a whole month, approximately a whole month, I was ill in my house. And I could not know anything of what was going on from the gossips, because I wasn't seeing people. I was sick in my bed. The only thing that did not look normal was the Prophet's ﷺ's attitude and behavior towards me. I didn't sense and feel his usual kindness and love. All what he used to do was to come when he visited me and he'd say, "How are you today?" And that is it. But I didn't know what was wrong, and I had nothing to fear, so there wasn't anything for me to doubt.
She wasn't know anything about what happened.
No, she has no idea, none whatsoever. And 3 of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ talked and gossiped about Aisha. Not from their own, but with the handiwork of Abdullah ibn Ubay, who was filled with hatred to the Prophet ﷺ and to Islam. These 3 companions were Hassan ibn Thabit, the poet of the Prophet ﷺ, Hamna bint Jahsh, who was the sister-in-law of the Prophet ﷺ, because her sister was Zainab bint Jahsh, and Mastah ibn Athatha, may Allah be pleased with them all. So she tells us that after 1 month of being sick, I went out with Mastah's mother. And Mastah ibn Athatha was the cousin of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. So he was related to Aisha, because Aisha is the daughter of Abu Bakr. And he was among the very first to migrate to Medina. And he was also one of the soldiers who fought in the Battle of Badr. So he is a top-ranking companion of the Prophet ﷺ. She tells us that we were going out to answer the call of nature outside the skirts of Medina, because at the time they did not have bathrooms in the houses. And she tells us, as we were walking out and it was nighttime, Mustah's mother tripped in her dress. And as she was tripping, she said a bad word about her son, Mustah. So she's praying against him, as if she's saying that damned him. So Aisha stood and said, "That's not a very nice thing to say about a companion of the Prophet ﷺ, who's your son, and at the same time he attended Badr. What are you doing? How dare you say such a bad thing about him?" So Mustah's mother looked at her and said, "Oh child, you're unaware of what he said?" And she told her, "No, I wasn't. What did he say?" And she told her everything about the lie, the event of the ifk, and the lies they've managed to make on her. She said that the minute I heard this, I felt sick again, and I just went back to my house. And I met the Prophet ﷺ, and I requested him that I go and stay with my parents so that they could take care of me. Now, she did not discuss this with the Prophet ﷺ. She was shocked by the fact that for the past month, the Prophet knew, the companions knew, and they were gossiping about her, and no one told her about this, she went to the Prophet, to her parents' house. She got even sicker. And she was really sick. She went on crying for 2 nights and 2 days, non-stop. Tears would not stop. Crying of what had happened and about the gossip the hypocrites were spreading. And the Prophet ﷺ allowed her to go. When her mother saw the case and saw her situation, she tried to relieve her. She said, "Daughter, anyone like you in your status, if she was close to her husband like you are close to the Prophet of Allah, her co-wives would again talk about her and try to degrade her at her husband's side." And she was again astonished, saying, "Subhanallah, everybody knows about this except me." She kept on crying and crying, and the strange thing was that the Prophet ﷺ, though confident of his wife's innocence, for a whole month, Allah Azza wa Jal tested him by not revealing her innocence. And this again shows us that he is a prophet of Allah. Because if he wasn't, he would have immediately said on the first day that, yes, she's innocent, I know her, I trust her. And this was a test from Allah for all parties. The Prophet ﷺ was uncertain because he could not judge over a case without having proof. It's not what he likes or what he feels. This is the beauty of Islam. It is facts and figures. You have to have evidence that proves this. He brought Usama ibn Zayd ibn Haritha, and he brought Ali ibn Abi Talib, and he consulted them what to do. And their answer is what we will know, inshallah, after the break.
According to the Quran, we live in a universe that worships Allah. It is not just human beings who celebrate His praises, but animals as well. Join us every Wednesday at 20 GMT for your show, Even Animals Glorified.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back. The Prophet ﷺ was confused. So, as was his custom, he brought Usama ibn Zayd and Ali ibn Abi Talib, one of the 2 most beloved people to his heart. And he asked them, what do you think? You've heard what the people are gossiping about. So what do you think of Aisha? Usama ibn Zayd was a young man. He knew the amount of love the Prophet ﷺ had for Aisha. And he knew that she was a pious person. And she was the daughter of the best companion of the Prophet ﷺ. So she came from a house of faith and belief. So he told the Prophet ﷺ that, "O Prophet of Allah, we know nothing about Aisha except that she is a chaste person, a person of virtue and piety, and that she comes from a very good house. So you love her and you know her. We cannot say any bad thing about her." Ali ibn Abi Talib, the cousin of the Prophet ﷺ and his son-in-law, told him that there are so many women that you can marry off. So as long as this one has doubts around her, get rid of her and marry another one. He wanted to relieve the Prophet ﷺ from doubts. And he told him, just to take a second opinion, ask the maid, Barira, who serves Aisha. So the Prophet asked Barira, and Barira said, I have not seen anything that is not acceptable from Aisha, except that she's a young girl. She's still young. She used to prepare the dough to be baked, and while she's doing this, she would fall asleep. And the chicken would come, or the goat would come and eat it without her noticing this. Which says that she does not have any ill intent. She is pure and honest and truthful.
What about Sheikh? What about the companion who used to with the Sayyidah Aisha, the one who sent her to the Medina? Did the Prophet ﷺ ask him about anything happened? Did he talk to him?
Well, we were not told of this because this was not proven. And the Prophet ﷺ did not want to interrogate something that was not yet an accusation. On the contrary, the Prophet ﷺ went once and delivered a speech in the masjid, on the mimbar, on the steps that he usually used to stand on. And he asked the people, who would pardon me from a man talking against my wife and my family and accusing them, my wife, with a man, that is Safwan ibn Mu'attal, who I'd never seen or heard anything that was bad against me. So the Prophet ﷺ is asking the companion about the deeds of Abdullah ibn Ubay, the head of the hypocrites. Who would pardon me from what he has done? Who would give me an excuse that is acceptable? What do I do with such a man who's accusing my family with Safwan ibn Mu'attal? And this man, Safwan ibn Mu'attal, I've never heard anything bad about him. He's always been good to me and to my family. So Sa'd ibn Mu'adh, the leader of the Aus, because Abdullah ibn Ubay, as you recall, is from Khazraj. So Sa'd ibn Mu'adh said, O Prophet of Allah, just point to us the man you want. If he's from the Aus, we will kill him. And if he's from the Khazraj, we will chop his head off. No problem. Now, Sa'd saying this, Sa'd ibn Ubadah, who was the leader of the Khazraj, he's a good man. He's a good companion of the Prophet ﷺ. But subhanallah, he's human. He felt that he had to protect his tribe. And this is what is known in Arabic hamiyya. It is part of arrogance that is not accepted in Islam. Because in Islam, you're instructed to stand with your brother, whether he is on the aggressor side or he's being oppressed. So the companion said, the Prophet ﷺ, if he was oppressed, I know how to grant him victory and to stand by him, and that is to defend him. But what about if he is he's the aggressor? How do I stand by him? The Prophet told them that you should prevent him from his aggression. This is standing by your brother, whether he is the aggressor or the oppressed. Sa'd ibn Ubadah tripped, may Allah be pleased with him, on that incident. And he stood up and said, by Allah, Sa'd ibn Mu'adh, you are telling lies. You are unable to touch one hair of him. So now he's defending the enemy of Allah. But Aisha tells us that he is a good man. He is a pious man. But on that incident he tripped. He made a mistake. Usayd ibn Hudayr, may Allah be pleased with him, stood up and shouted at Sa'd ibn Ubadah and told him that you are telling lies. And by Allah, we will execute whatever the Prophet ﷺ or whoever the Prophet ﷺ tells us to do so. And both Al-Aus and the Khazraj, and you remember they had wars among them for 100 years, for a full 100 years before the migration of the Prophet ﷺ. So they stood in the masjid and they were almost about to fight until the Prophet ﷺ came down and calmed them, and they respected the Prophet ﷺ and stopped. Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, continues to say that I kept on crying. Tears would not stop. And I cried for 2 nights and a full day until I thought that I was going to die. You know, when you cry so much, you can cry for what? 5 minutes? 10 minutes? An hour? A full day? And the tears keep on falling. But for 2 nights and 1 full day, she thought that she was going to die. And she tells us, as I was there, one woman from the Ansar came in and visited me, and she herself broke into tears with me, and we both sat crying and weeping. The Prophet ﷺ at this incident came in, and he never came to sit before that day. For a full month, he never came to sit down with me. So he came in, and I thought that maybe something was revealed by Allah. So he came and he started praising Allah Azza wa Jal, and then addressed me by saying, Aisha, if you had sinned, then ask Allah Azza wa Jal for forgiveness, because Allah forgives the sins of those whom repent. And if you were innocent, then Allah Azza wa Jal will clear you and will prove to the world that you are innocent. So ask Allah Azza wa Jal for forgiveness. She says that the minute the Prophet ﷺ said this, my tears ceased and stopped. And I didn't know what to say. So I told my father, answer the Prophet of Allah. And the father, Abu Bakr, said, daughter, I don't know what to say. So she looked at her mother and said, answer the Prophet of Allah. And also the mother said, daughter, I don't know what to say. She tells us about herself. She says, I was a young girl and I didn't recite a lot of the Quran. And I told them that, by Allah, I know that you've heard something about me and you've accepted and believed this gossip that people are gossiping. And if I confess of doing something that I didn't know, you would believe that, because this is what you want to believe. And I don't find any example for you and myself except the example of the father of Joseph. She says, I was so young I didn't recall who was Joseph's father, and that was Jacob. Yaqub. And he said that I will ask Allah Azza wa Jal for patience, and I will seek His support on whatever you say. I'll depend on Allah on whatever you say. And she tells us that she gave her back to the Prophet ﷺ. She knew that if she told him the truth, nobody would believe her. If she told him, I didn't do anything, nobody would believe her. And if she confessed of something that was not true, they will all believe her. And she says to us that I didn't think that I was something to the extent that Allah would reveal verses of the Quran. All what I wanted was the Prophet to claim and say that I was innocent. But to my surprise, I saw the Prophet ﷺ being revealed to. And whenever the Prophet had the revelation, he used to sweat. She says, and it was a very cold day. And the Prophet started sweating, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And when it was over, the Prophet ﷺ broke into laughter. He laughed and said, O Aisha, give all due praise to Allah the Almighty, because He revealed your innocence.
So the liberation came in the same time?
On the same time, in the presence of Abu Bakr and Roman and all the other parties were all in there. And the Prophet says, Allah Azza wa Jal had revealed your innocence. So Roman, the mother of Aisha, told her, go to your husband, in form of gratefulness and being thankful. Aisha said, by Allah, I will not go to him and I will not go to anyone, because it was only Allah who revealed my innocence from the heavens. So she was grateful only to Allah. And again, she is a wife. And it did not come from the husband, it came from the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it was not from him, it was from the Allah, the Almighty. Now, the truth was unveiled. And now, the consequences of those who gossiped and said what they've said must take place and effect. I'm afraid that this is all the time we have for today's program. When we meet, inshallah, next time, I'll tell you and discuss what took place with the three that were involved in slandering our mother Aisha. May Allah be pleased with her. And until then, fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.